Hi, and welcome back to the episode of the History of Fan Anime. I'm your host, William Chow, and today, finally get to the very important episode that a lot of people have been finally waiting for, is the remaining of the top 30 animes of the 1980s. And today, we're going to cover the last year, 1989, and we're going to go over some of the titles in that one. And then once we finish, we will then have completed our top 30. So it's really good, and exciting that we're going to finally get into finally complete this and make the list. Now, there's lots of titles on there. It's only a top 30, and there's already a good number of titles. So there could be a quick big mix up in the current number of titles on there. So it's definitely going to be challenging because there's a good number of movies and OAVs that come out in this year. So it's very good. So before I begin actually going through the titles, again, I want to remind people to go down below, click subscribe. That definitely does help the algorithm. Just if you could just at least leave that, leave a comment about a particular video, that'd be really great. It really just helps YouTube algorithm work. If you also want to support me financially, I also have the super thanks button activated, as well as the PayPal and Patreon links down below. Again, that really does help out. I really appreciate that. I got some extra episodes coming out. I have fully updated the anime database, so you can check the link below, and it has all the episodes that I've done all the way up to present, as well as I've added all the interview links for all the various different interviews I've done for other channels and whatnot, as including my own, on there as well. So do check those out. They're also available. Today's topic is the final completion of the top 30 for 1980. So again, I've already gone through every single year and broken down all the significant titles in both TV series, movies, and OVAs. And now I've gone through every single year and taking those titles and basically making a top 30 and basically swapping the titles in and out all throughout. And now we're finally down to the last year, 1989. Once I complete this one, we'll have that list there. So this is really exciting to get to finally done all that. And after maybe we complete that, I'll continue on to next year and see what we got. Okay, but right now, let's concentrate on 1989. Okay, so without further delay, let's begin. On the right-hand side, we have the current top 30 TV shows, OAVs, and movies, and today we're working on the middle column, which is the OAVs, and this is the second half of it. So these are the the harder to do titles right in the middle. Okay, on the right hand side is the OAVA catalog, which shows all the different OAVAs and movies and TV shows that I did with the My Anime list, and I went through every single year from 1982 to 1989, and right now we're on the 1989, the second half of the OAVAs. And you can tell that from the graph here, 1989 had a large number of anime releases that were significant. So again, this is why this is so long, and hopefully it will be completed in this particular episode for the OAVAs. Okay, so now we're getting to the really hard ones, because we're right in the middle of everything now. Looking on the list here, I could definitely say I can see Midnight Eye Goku. Okay, so that's the same guy who did like the Wicked City and all that kind of stuff. Similar type of theme-ish type of thing, because it was one of those ones that was pushing the edge. Obviously, Bao, again, it had an early comic, came later though. Would it have the same market appeal? I know, even though that Bao had more of the Guyver sort of thing. Artwork was not as nice. Okay, next on the list would be probably Curse of the Undead Yoma. I mean, again, this is really similar to a lot of the other titles that are sort of already on the list, kind of. I mean, I see Peacock King and Demon City Shinjuku, Angel Cop. I mean, they're all sort of the same kind of, almost made from the same kind of mold, as it were. And another one I'd see down the list is Guyver. Now, again, I know that there was an initial release of Guyver, and that did okay. But now that you fleshed out the story more, it adds more to the franchise. Very early start with the manga, and first kind of titles that we had available to us in manga form. So definitely, I think that has a good contention to go in there. And then the last to fill up my set of 5 would be Shootin' Doji. I'm not a big fan of Go Nagai's stuff. Of them all, Cutie Honey and probably Shootin' Doji would be my ones that I'd give the pass to. That'd probably be the next candidate that would be on there. Let's see what I would be going against them, and the titles and stuff like that I could work with. Okay, so I already mentioned it. I'd already probably group Peacock King, Demon City Shinjuku, and Angel Cop almost synonymously the same. Not necessarily the same artist, I mean, but the same kind of genre type. Okay, so yeah, the next titles on the list would probably be the Humanoid. I'd go the Professional Earth Defense Force. And I'd go Amon Saga. Those would be probably the ones that I would go next on the list. Okay, so basically I now have the bottom 6 titles up for the top 30 on the bottom here. And I'm going to see if any of these top 5 will actually go into that listing. So I guess the best candidate right now would definitely be Guyver. That definitely should be included into the list. And so who would I substitute out? First on the list is probably going to be the Humanoid in that case, right? Again, one-shot OAVA. I'm going to compare that with a more storied franchise that had manga and stuff that went with it, and multiple releases of the the new Guyver series as well as the original Guyver Out of Control. So definitely that would make sense. Let Guyver in, put Guyver in, take Humanoid out. I mean, again, even though there was a big following of Sorayama's stuff. And that concept with that, and Space Cobra and that one and whatnot, definitely still would go with Guyver in that case. The next one probably would be, Well, I already mentioned that Midnight Eye Goku is already synonymous with the first 3 that are already on the list anyway. So if I was going to add that one, I would leave the other 3. That would only leave Professional Earth Defense Force and Amon Saga. Now, as mentioned in the previous episode, when I think of Amon Saga, he's the guy who does Vampire Hunter D. Did some of the work for the Final Fantasies and that kind of stuff. I mean, when you think of Amon, I think of Vampire Hunter D. I mean, that's like the number one thing on the list. I mean, again, if you're more of a gamer, then you're gonna say the concept artwork for like Final Fantasy. Even though he did do the work of Amon Saga. That's going to be a one-shotter, obviously. I had Goku had basically 2. He already has that, same sort of drawing style as something like a Wicked City, right? So definitely that needs to go in. So if I was going to do the swap trade, I would definitely put Goku in, take Amon Saga out. And the last one I would sort of do, maybe, it's hard to say. Bao doesn't, once you do that, Bao just suddenly becomes, not better than anything else that's on the list, right? I mean, it was going to be about the same as Guyver, so, because that's the same kind of concept as it was. But it's not as good as Guyver, so definitely, I wouldn't put it on the list when Guyver's on the list. And then likewise, Shootin' Doji, I mean, it is the better of the Go Nagai, but I wouldn't put it on the list either. Even with that sort of a notion of what the hells are. So that pretty well just leaves me with Yoma. Then I'm basically comparing Yoma, which is already, again, is it going to be the same as those type of already type there? It is that, in that kind of genre again, Peacock King, Demon City Shinjuku. Then I'd have to compare that against Professional Earth Defense Force. Now, again, I think Professional Earth Defense Force is actually really quite a funny OVA. So another one of those hidden gems that really has a lot of in jokes on it. In many ways, a little bit like a Project Echo even. But definitely, I am a big fan of that guy's art style and that kind of stuff. And I've done many sort of manga adaptations of his work. I would have to probably give it to Yoma, just because it actually got more, like, that was one of the first releases from AD Vision, right? And and it did get a lot of distribution, that kind of stuff, because it was one of the very few animes that sort of was out early, so a lot of people got into it. Where Professional Defense Force, it was an early fan favorite, before it actually got before it got any sort of a commercial release. But the problem is that I think the commercial release for Professional Earth Defense Force was done by a really sort of unknown company, so very little marketing and that kind of stuff was done for it. So I'm sure most of you don't even know what it was, and it's probably pretty hard to find. So just because of that, the disparity in market penetration, I would have to give that title to Yoma, even though I would argue that Professional Earth Defense Force should still stay in there, but because the difference between market, I guess, market value as opposed to, content value, yeah, I'd still have to award it to Yoma just for that reason. So I'll put that one in there. Take that, and I think that will probably be how the bottom of the chart would finish. This part should be now relatively easy. Now we have on the screen basically the bottom 6 titles of the top 30. And now I'm going to go through the remaining titles on the list and see if any of those titles is better than any of these 6. And then this will sort of round out top 30, okay? So, what do we have on the list? We have Cypher. Now, being a sort of probably a music video, no translation at all anyway, yeah, that's not going to make the list. Next one is Ricky O. Another copy of Rambo. I mean, I guess this is in the same sort of storyline as Dog Soldier. And yeah, I mean, it had a little bit of manga, but I mean, other than that, yeah, it's not going to be any better than 80's for sure. No. Cleopatra DC, definitely a different artwork. Almost you can class it as kind of like the same sort of idea as Lupin III. But being a one-shotter, yeah, it's not gonna have any sort of appeal as same as those. So yeah, that's not gonna go. Fuma no Kijoru. Now I know this was a very fan favorite for a lot of people because it kind of had that Saint Seiya looking look-alike to it. So very popular with the female audience. Again, no translation, so that really pretty much hurt it. So again, yeah, that's not going to qualify it at all. Explorer Woman Ray. Now this is one of the very early Central Park Media releases, and kind of a poor man's Indiana Jones type of thing, or Tomb Raider, Lara Croft sort of thing, I guess. But this caliber of anime, yeah, again, it might have been sort of on level with like Lily Cat or even the Humanoid maybe, but not in this ranking. Shin Captain Tsubasa, so Soccer Boy. Next series of that, again, soccer just doesn't really resonate over here, so that isn't going to make it either. Blue Sonnet did actually release a few OAVs for it, so I mean it's going to be on similar caliber as to like Guyver, for example, because it was about 6 episodes or so that it did. Would it be better? Definitely Guyver is still a better franchise name. I'd say overall sales on the other titles would be pretty much similar. So it has the same sort of staying power as Bao, and Bao didn't make it either. So I'm gonna say Blue Sonnet won't make it. The next one is a High Speed JC. Now this one's really interesting because this is one of those Mikimoto art pieces. Okay, so in addition to making things like Gundam 080 and your Macrosses and your Megazone 23s and stuff, this one he made with a fast running sci-fi sort of adventure. 6 volumes, so I mean it definitely had some staying power. But the big hard part about this one is it failed by not having any translation jet at that time. So I think that really hurt it, and nobody went and licensed it for the longest time. Yeah, if it wasn't for the fact that it didn't have any attempts to license it, or just maybe the licensing just fell through, I'm not sure exactly what happened there, but I mean that probably really hurt its ability to make a ranking, because otherwise, yeah, I think it should have been able to go in there for sure. With the artist stature, definitely it would have been pretty popular, because it was fairly well animated if I remember. So it's definitely a good title to check out. Next one would be a Cinderella Express. Yeah, that's again no translation, so that really hurt it. Shin Wataru, so this is the I guess the equivalent of Keith Courage, PC Engine, TurboGrafx. It did have a recent crossover with the Langrisser mobile franchise. without any translation, this would have been a hard title to to market at this time. So again, that wouldn't have made it. B-Boy, well, same as Cypher. It's it did have some some female audience appeal, but again, nobody bothered licensing it, and nobody bothered making any follow up on that one. Psyguard. Okay, so this one was another one of these horrible renditions of things. It's a I guess it's a poor man's MD Geist almost. So yeah, that wouldn't have made it. Demon Hunter Yama. Now this is one of the ones that I fan subbed, and I thought was interesting. Again, it's a one-shotter. Demon Hunter Yama falls into the realm of other sort of one-shot sort of animes. That would have been like things like Devil Hunter Yoko, Demon Hunter Rem, things like that. And of course, those aren't even on the ranking list just because they just don't have enough staying power on them. So yeah, I'd have to say that wouldn't have made the list either. So yeah, Aim for the Ace. So that's tennis. With the competition that you see on here, and I guess the lack of interest for things like even like tennis, yeah, that wouldn't have made it. No translation either, so that definitely wouldn't have helped. Dog Soldier. Now again, one of the early releases from Central Park Media. Pretty horrible rendition of Rambo. That definitely does not make it in the light of these 6 that we've got on the board here. Darkness of the Sea, Shadow of the Moon. Now I remember I got a drama CD for one of these things, and so I know that it has interest and some popularity with the yaoi groups. Without the translation, even the artwork wasn't even all that good for this one. So, that's not going to make it. The last one here is Lock the Superman. Now, this one has some interesting contention, because Lock the Superman does actually have some pull. Now, do you think it's enough to match any of the ones that we've got on this thing here? Because it was kind of released really, really late in the sessions of things. And so, if you even compare it against the major blocks of what we have for action shows in here, it was a one-shot sort of thing as well. Didn't have any support from any sort of mangas or that kind of stuff at the time. Translation was very sparse for it, but a lot of people knew what it was. Yeah, I don't think it's gonna knock off any of the 6 that I got here. So I can't add Locked. Okay, so that's it. That's all this house for 1989. So this basically concludes the OAVs for 1989, so therefore this locks in the top 30 titles for all the OAVs of the 1980s. So again, if you've gone through and are familiar and watched all these 30, you pretty well got a pretty good snapshot of all the OAVs and that kind of stuff for the 1980s. And again, sure, there's a couple that you could probably check out afterwards as well. Definitely things like Professional Earth Defense Force and things like that just kind of sort of fill off on the ends. But again, you can go back onto the different episodes to see what got eliminated and my comments about them, and then you can determine for yourself whether you want to check them out and see if they're like hidden gems, like Space Family, Carl Vinson. Then definitely you want to do and check out that. But for the top 30, this is your wrap. Okay, hopefully you enjoyed it, and again, we'll begin the work for doing the 1990s. All right, so here we have now a good completed list. This is probably one of the most sort of comprehensive lists that actually looks into each of the different titles and that kind of stuff, and not a list just built out of favoritism and titles that you just personal tastes and that kind of stuff. I tried to be more objective and look at how these values and that kind of stuff on this list. So anyway, we will continue on the next video when we get more of these videos done. All right. So until next time, I will see you again.